And of course, now that the resistors are soldered to the light leads, last step is to get some shrink wrap on them, just to make sure that we don't have any shorts. Alright, so the next step is going to be connecting another resistor to the LED and get them all ready for wiring to the decoder. The decoder is ready to be installed. I trimmed and stripped and tinned the leads, got a little bit of solder on them. There are two extra wires on the FL4 that I'm not going to use. One is a ground wire that I won't be using, the other, that's the black and white, and the other one is a pink one. Sorry, that's a black and white, that's the pink one right there obviously, and that one is for the fourth light output. I'm not going to use it, so I'm just going to use a little bit of tape to secure it. Never know if I ever decide to use the fourth one in the future, so here we go. I'll just set these aside. Okay, so the decoder has been soldered, connected to the lights via the drop resistors on two of the leads. The remaining LED for the interior lights I'm going to leave until the end. It was not immediately clear from the description manual for the decoder which lead is going to be the positive and which is going to be the negative. So because the LED can only operate in one direction or with a single polarity, need to test it before wiring this guy in, so that'll be the last step. But in the meantime, I'll set this aside for the moment and start working on the trucks. I already got I got the trucks taken off from the other Caboose, the donor trucks. Basically what I'm going to do, these number 5 centering springs should work very nicely for this. And what's going to happen is going to take our needle nose pliers and very carefully bend the centering springs outwards like this. Not sure how well you can see that. Kind of like that, and do it on both springs, and then mount the secure the centering spring to the side of a truck, and then the pickup wire will be soldered to here as well. So as you can see, the spring is kind of fit into place. It is a little bit long, so we'll need to trim the very edge of it to make sure that it fits, and the little springs from the inside were kind of bent outwards, and once the wheel sets are installed, they will they should contact the wheels very nicely. They should make a nice secure contact. So next step is going to be trim this the base of the spring a little bit to make sure it fits, and secure them to the trucks. So I'm going to drill a hole right through the middle here of the spring in the truck using a number 61 bit. It's the largest one I have in the kit, so hopefully it'll be enough. If it ends up being too narrow, you can always try to widen it a little bit, especially through the copper. But I'm gonna drill it through this one as well as for the other side, and also another truck, and then we'll be ready to solder the leads to the pickups and get the whole thing mounted and secured to the decoder. Alright folks, so I made all 4 springs. So as you can see here, I got them secured with little screws, and you do want to use something like a screw to secure them. If you just try to glue them in place, it may hold, may not. I mean, ultimately it's up to you. But these little springs, once they contact the wheels, they do provide a fair bit of push. So it's if you don't secure the spring, obviously it's going to fly right off. I think the screw would be the best way to do it. Obviously, you want to use trucks that are non-metal. These are plastic trucks. Some of the trucks out there, like the Caddies, are metal, so they will be conductive. Probably don't want to use those, but it seems to have worked out pretty well. The wipers are making very good contact with the wheels. You do want to make sure that the wheels are nice and clean, so use some fine grit sandpaper prior to installing the wheel sets themselves, and just kind of go through and clean them up a bit to improve the conductivity between the wheel itself and the wipers. Alright, so the wires have been soldered to the contacts, all 4 of them. I got the wheel sets installed. I used, because these are going to be rotating, obviously wanted to use some pretty flexible wire, so I'm going to try to use some magnet wire. It's nice, very thin, very flexible, will pass through the base of the caboose pretty nicely, and hopefully will not fray too much. We'll see how well that works out. Hopefully we'll end up with shorts and it stays nice and reliable. But yeah, one of the things that I did here, I covered, as I mentioned earlier, I covered these up with tape. So I used some Kapton tape on top of the contacts. Also on the base of the caboose where the truck is going to mount, I put a little bit of tape here as well, kind of the double layer of protection. So I already mounted one of the trucks right there. So now just gonna get the second one installed, run the wires through, and then it should be good to go. Well, not good to go yet. Still have to connect it to the decoder, but at least we'll be done with the trucks. Also, while I had the bottom off, I swapped out the couplers to Caddy whiskers. I prefer the whisker couplers. They're just easier and nicer to use, so swap them out with those. Okay, now I'm gonna get the truck mounted, wires run in, and get everything soldered up to the decoder. Alright, got the decoder soldered to the track leads, added in the LED, and connected everything together. And in the process of initial testing, I discovered that the resistors that I used for the lights on the caboose, the marker lights and the backup lights, ended up being a little bit too much, because I didn't know the current draw of the lamps. It was there were a lot of possible variables. Made some assumptions, assumed they were about 15 milliamp bulbs, and the resistor that I used would have been okay for that, but when I applied power to the decoder, they were just extremely dim. You could barely see them turning on, so that kind of tells me that the resistor is too much, and that these are likely 30 milliamp bulbs as opposed to 15, if not higher. So instead of using a 470 ohm resistors that I had here, started taking things apart a bit, already disconnected one of the leads. I'm going to use some 150 ohm resistors, and possibly if that doesn't work, I'll have some 100 ohms that I can try as well. So hopefully that will work better. So I'm going to leave one of the 475s in for now, and then stick a 150 in there instead, and we'll see how that pans out. Alright, so the decoder is now mounted. All the connections are soldered, all the resistors are in place. I ended up using 250 ohms for each pair of bulbs. But everything is now hooked up, so let's make sure that it works. See? So that's the interior light. These are the marker lights, you see them lighting up there. And this would be the backup lights. They nice, not too bright. Bulbs not burning out. And everything seems to be working. So it's obviously good news. So now I just gotta dress everything up, tape everything down nicely so that it doesn't wobble, secure all the wires, and screw the caboose back together. So here's the caboose assembled, and let's check it out. Here are the marker lights. Here's the backup lights. I'll reprogram the CV so that they both don't turn on at the same time. Will depend on the direction. And of course there's our interior light. Nice warm yellow glow. So looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. So that's the end of the project. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks, and I'll see you again in the next video.